Pretty Little Liars, the TV show, sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We've provided a list of content warnings in the episode description. Welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And we're back.
We are back.
We had a series of unfortunate and fortunate events.
It started off very fortunate. We got married. We had a nice civil ceremony. It was beautiful.
It makes it sound like we kept it civil. We had a civil ceremony.
We did. Kept it civil.
No fisticuffs were involved.
Yeah. But nice small ceremony. Loved it.
And then we're having a big wedding later, so you'll probably get some more gaps in our posts in the future. We'll see what happens.
So
follow the Twitter.
Exactly. So expect probably at least a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks again, like probably in a row, for us being like just gone and out. And then we'll get back to, later Halloween escapades and all our timeline once we get there. But yeah, and then we ran into fun health scares and being sick. But now we're back.
We're back.
And we are excited for exciting things this week. With the the Ezra reveal, the Ezra family reveal. We also get the
Fitzgerald reveal, if you will.
And a whole weird things, a new wing of the hospital, weird riddles that are not very hard to solve. Yeah, I mean, the highlight just being the Fitzgeralds.
Well, and remember, just because it's easy for you doesn't mean it's easy for other people. Be nice.
This is the show fully admitted. This is the show saying this. This isn't even me. We'll get to it when we get to it.
But. I mean, Spencer's kind of an insufferable know-it-all.
I know. Well, but the show just is just like, oh, here's the answer to this. This isn't going to be like a week-to-week thing. We got things to do. Which made me like laugh. I was just like, okay, well, I'll stop paying attention so closely.
We have plot.
It's just like, it's a mystery, whatever. Like, it isn't going to be week to week. Are we ready then to jump right in?
I'm ready for you to recap.
Okay. We will start in on episode 54, season 3, episode 7, Crazy. That's the episode title, not us. Hannah talks to her mom on the phone, ensuring her that no one is coming over while she's away. So Ashley's not in this episode. And that she's up and going to school. She hangs up and Wilden arrives at the back door. Run. He asks if Ashley's home because he can't talk to her without her mom present. He wants Hannah to come down to the police station to get her blood tested, to see if it matches the bracelet blood type. That was, and Hannah was also seen coming out of Mrs. Reynolds' hospital room. Hannah catches the remaining friends up on Wilden, and Spencer says she hasn't heard back from Jason, but is going to talk to him soon. Hannah worries that it is her blood on the bracelet because A is capable of doing all sorts of wild things, and she goes to walk off. Spencer tries to stop her to talk to her and calm her down, but she leaves. The other 3 friends then see a blonde girl ordering a latte at the brew. And they think it's like, hey, doesn't she like sound a lot like Allison and like behave that way? And the girl turns around and isn't her. And she's like all wondering like why they're so interested in her. They explain that she sounds like their friend. And she says that she was a friend of Allison's too. Her name is Cece. And said Allison actually talked about all of you a lot. Cece met her at Cape May and had an intense summer together, in which she dated Jason briefly. Cece then has to leave and says, come visit the boutique across the street, and looks at Arya and says, you can do some like free shopping if you want. And Arya's like, no, that's not me. That's Hannah, and she's not here. And then,
my favorite thing about that is Arya just being like, oh no, that's Hannah.
Oh, you're thinking of the blonde one. No, she's not here. And Cece nods and leaves, and they all agree that she is freakishly like Allison. I don't know if I quite see that, but in behaviors later, I do. Ella then opens up a garment bag at school, and Arya's just like, hey, what's that? And Ella's like, I have a date. I met someone on a dating website. And then Arya playfully grills her about the guy, but says she likes to dress. Spencer looks through the police yearbook and adds Cece and Kate May as a clue on her digital recreation of the A layer. Toby sits down next to her, surprising her, and so she sets her laptop. He asks why she's avoiding him and why she lied about the church dance. She said, I was with Jason, and we found that bracelet together that was turned in the police. Toby said the bracelet did the exact opposite of what you guys were trying to do. Exonerated Garrett. Spencer is like, well, he has to be guilty. And Toby says, you used to think I killed Allison, remember? Evidence can get distorted, and this experience made me a lot slower to pass judgment. Emily cleans up outside tables at her work. As Nate walks up, he shows her a candle he bought Jenna for their date tonight. Emily's like, she'll love it. But he's like, hey, I need your help. Like, you're like great friends. Like, we definitely need to get a better gift. Like, I can tell. Emily's like, who told you that we're great friends? Nate says Jenna, and she spoke very highly of Maya. Emily's then mad because Jenna's like didn't actually know Maya at all, or so we think. Hannah and Arya come home to Hannah's and find a Ouija board out on her kitchen counter. Hannah picks up the moving piece and it cuts her finger, a shuttle or whatever they call it later. And on the opposite side is a note that says, see how easy it is for me to get your blood? Really banking on Hannah cutting her hand on this. After the commercial break, Hannah freaks out about being in her house. Arya tells her to slow down and is like, hey, what is this? And Hannah says, remember the earrings you buried? Well, I buried this like shuttle hand thing. Mona and I played it before they found Allison's body. She has a flashback, and Mona talks Hannah into playing with the Ouija board when it's like all like spooky and stuff outside, i.e. like inclement weather. And that her and her cousin spoke to a ghost. Mona says we should ask if Allison's coming back and coerces Hannah into it. Mona asks if the spirits know what happened to Allie, slides to yes, and they all get freaked out. The piece then slides to A, L, and I, then to V and E. Hannah looks outside and sees Allison in a lightning flash. And back in the present, Arya says Mona was already A then. She probably hired someone to come by outside to scare you. Did anybody else see this? This could prove that Mona is in contact with A. And Arya says she'll go and visit Mona. And they both get freaked out by a pot breaking outside. Jason runs by the school and Spencer stops him like he's on a run. And Spencer asks if he's okay. Jason said he's sad about like helping out Garrett, but he doesn't blame her and says that his parents were very disappointed. He says he's done doing detective work. Spencer says, hey, I met Cece Drake, and I didn't even know about her and that you spent like some sort of intense summer together. Jason says everything with Cece is intense. Spencer asks if it ended bad, and Jason says, you can say that, and then excuses himself. Emily and Nate shop at the boutique Cece works at. Cece dismisses Nate and asks Emily privately about like why Emily doesn't like the girl he's with. Cece then realizes Emily's the one Allison told her about with a giant crush on her. Oh, you're the lesbian one. Emily is stunned at this, and Cece asks why she cares then. Is this like Jenna a bitch or something? Emily says like something. Cece then tells him tells her like you'd be doing him a favor. Nate asks Emily for her opinion on gifts, which one is a set of earrings he shows Emily, and he says that Maya had a pair of them. Emily says she got her those a week before she went missing. How do you know about that? He says must have been like a picture or something. Wonder if that'll come back up. Emily asks why he wants to buy her a gift, and Nate says I wouldn't be doing this if the hottest girl in Rosewood was available and interested in guys. Another like giant red flag. Woo. Cece then stops by to break the tension.
Thank God. Also, like men.
Yeah, this is more on him later. Yeah, this is really the like, oh shit, we like took a right turn on Nate. Ella arrives at the brew for her date. She gets distracted by the man working the counter, and they hit it off. They talk about like Emily and her first date, and because he's her like Emily's manager. Ted then arrives. and he's there for his date with Ella.
Pastor Ted.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Just to clarify,
Oh, that he's a pastor?
Well, that it's the same Ted as Ashley's Ted.
Right. We don't have any other Teds, though.
Yeah, I know, but Pastor Ted.
Pastor Ted.
He's a pastor. I feel like it's just important to really
hammer that home.
Yeah.
Got it.
The Marin women love men adjacent to the clergy.
Right.
Just remember Sean.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if Sean was it's not, but it seems like this would have been Sean's dad, and you could both see him be great catch, son. He's thanks, dad, and they're super wholesome together.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be interesting? Arya arrives at Radley. The receptionist finds that Mona's status has been changed in the computer, and she's allowed visitors again, and then checks Arya in and has her check her bag for sharp objects, including earrings. Arya sits down opposite Mona in the visitation room. It's the
day room.
Day room, yeah. It's where everybody can kind of hang out together. The doctor has to supervise the visit and goes to sit down and watch them. Mona then asks if Arya would like to play a game. Would you like to play a game? Hannah meets Spencer for food. Spencer says her mom is trying to get the court order for Hannah's blood stopped. They then see Jason and his dad get out of a car. Spencer asks if she wants Hannah to talk to him. And Hannah says, no, your mom's on it, so there's no reason for me to panic about any of this stuff. Emily talks to Nate at the brew and says there's things you need to know about Jenna. Jenna dated Garrett. Nate says, she could have been his next victim. If she brings this up, I won't tell her you told me. Thank you so much. You're a good friend. And gets up and leaves. It's no. Pastor Ted and Ella eat ice cream out in town. Pastor Ted seems to be having a good time, but Ella is definitely not.
No.
Hannah stops Jason's dad and tells him she's sorry for what she did. Your family was going through so much, and I didn't help. I have nothing to do with what's happening now, though. He says, a friend would never do what you did at the time. It seemed like a childhood prank, but you seem to have only gotten colder with age. Okay.
Mrs. De Laurentiis has a good old-fashioned stick up his ass.
Yeah, I was going to say. Mona has a tower of cards set up in front of her. Arya says, sorry, Hannah couldn't make it. And Mona gets the doctor to go get her medicine. And it's we have 20 seconds to talk. Arya says the Ouija piece showed up at her house, Hannah's house. Mona is surprised. Arya says, if you know who's behind this, tell me for Hannah. Mona says it isn't me. The doctor then comes back with her medicine and says visiting hours are over. As Mona leaves, she says, tell Hannah I'm sorry. Arya leaves Radley and sees that Hannah is waiting for her out front. Arya says Mona didn't say much, but she said she was sorry. Maybe she didn't do anything. Hannah then goes to sneak in. Arya tries to stop her, but then joins her. Emily leaves work at night and sees Cece leaving at the same time. Cece asks if Emily talked to Nate, and Emily says it did, but it completely backfired. Cece says, I need to give you my number, let me see your phone. She then opens up a directory and calls Jenna, or while she asks Emily about Jason and if he's still single. Important note there. Cece then makes the call to Jenna and says, how dare you go out with my boyfriend? Stay away from Nate or I'll gouge your eyes out. Emily says she used to be blind, and Cece says it needed to be done. Emily is stunned, and Cece says it's too late to take it back. See you around. Ella comes back to the brew to catch Emily, but instead talks to the same guy who's working, the same barista who's kind of working there. They hit it off about Ella's bad date. He gives her pastries, and she says she'll take them to go. He says, you can stay here. I can close whenever, because I own the place. And Ella's like, what? You look so young. Not really. Hannah and Arya are sneaking into Radley. Hannah goes into Mona's room and Arya stands guard outside. Mona asks what she's doing here. Is something wrong? Hannah says, save it. Mona says, save it, Mona. Jason's dad came back. Who else knows about the night I saw Allison? Arya then comes into the room to avoid the nurses walking during the halls. Mona says, does she know, referring to Arya, and asks if he's still mad at Hannah. Arya doesn't understand, and Hannah has a flashback. Hannah and Mona walk through town, and Hannah sees a missing poster, and also Mona comes up. It's oh, we can talk in secret, as a way that in a sentence you take the first letter of each word in the sentence to then combine for a whatever the secret message is. And they hear a car skid to a halt as Jason's dad gets out of the car and yells at Hannah. He says, "Your stunt gave my wife hope." Jason tries to stop him from yelling, and Jason's dad says, "Stay away from my family." Back in the present, Hannah says she called Mrs. De Laurentiis and told her Allison was alive after seeing her in the lightning flash. 3 days later, they found Allison's body. They both look over and see that Mona's gone, and the door to her room is open. Cut to a car careening out of control, blasting metal music. And then cut to Spencer, who's slowly driving home and obeying the speed limit. But then notices that the car that's careening out of control is Jason's car, and she sees Jason crash into a parked car. She jumps out to help him and notices that he's drunk. She tries to get him and help him, but he says maybe he'll be locked up with Garrett. Kind of laughs to himself. She gets him to move over and says this never happened and drives them away. But her car is left sitting there with the engine running and the doors open. Hannah and Arya wander the halls of Radley looking for Mona. Hannah then notices a broken lock on the ground with her old tweezers in the lock. Spencer arrives home to Toby in her house. Toby says, "What took you so long?" And she asks him to give her a ride to pick up her car. Toby asks what's going on, but then there's a knock at the door as Wilden comes in, saying he found her car near the scene of an accident with her door wide open. "Why didn't you report your car stolen?" Toby says, "We've been here all night. I picked her up from work." Wilden says, "We'll talk about this later," and leaves. Toby asks what that was about, and Spencer says it was just an accident, that's all. Toby says accidents don't need to be lied about to the cops, and Spencer says Jason was drunk. Toby is really upset by this, and Spencer says Jason can't get caught. He'll lose everything, and you can't tell anyone. Please, you gotta promise. Hannah and Arya continue to look through old, dilapidated rooms in the hospital, and they hear ominous singing. They wander into old, abandoned nursery rooms. And Arya's shocked that they used to have kids here. They follow the singing and find Mona brushing a creepy old doll's face. Mona says, "Miss Arya, you're a killer, not Ezra's wife." Hannah knocks the doll away from her. Mona grabs another, saying, Where
were we?
Where were we? Maya's away sleeping sweet until Garrett's all rosy. Count on me." They hear a nurse call for Mona. Hannah begs Mona to tell her something. Mona then repeats, "No one to save Allie from evil," over and over. Arya and Hannah bail and hide in a closet before the nurse finds Mona. They then see Mona get taken back, and Mona says she missed her dolls, and the nurse says they're not going anywhere. Arya talks to her mom on the phone, and Ella catches Arya up on her date night. Ella didn't like Ted and thinks she should open her horizons. Arya gets into bed. Hannah asks what's up with her mom, and Arya says she's a slut, go to sleep.
She went on 2 dates in one night.
Uh-huh.
I like how that's scandalous.
It's very funny. Yeah, especially as teen, of course. It's oh, my mom went and saw 2 guys.
Yeah, she went on a date and then she didn't like the date, and then she ended up she's still talking to the guy.
She talked to 2 men romantically. Whew. Well, Emily walks home late and notices Nate sitting alone at the grill with a present, sadly. Hannah tosses and turns and notices a doll she was looking at earlier in Arya's room. She then remembers Mona's phrases. The friends are all gathered as Hannah explains the code that Mona had made up, and that Mona had given it to her the same day Allison's body was found. Hannah says, "No one to save Allie from evil," and you take the first letter from each word, and it says, "It's not safe." And the Garrett phrase and Spencer, and Spencer realizes that from the Garrett one, it's a website that is masstrigger.com. And they go there and find a picture of Maya that says, "What's the magic word?" Listed with the password prompt. Now, if you go to this website, it just rewrites you about to freeform. So they took this down. The camera then pans over the nursery at Radley and surveys all the creepy dolls. Gloved hand then grabs a doll and grabs its neck to reveal a recorder. The gloved hand plays back the recorder, which is the recorded interaction with them and Mona in the nursery. The end.
All right. So Mona knew they were being watched.
Exactly.
How does Wilden know Hannah's blood type?
I don't think he says it specifically.
He says O negative.
Oh, negative?
Yeah. I wrote this down.
Got it. Well, I don't know when you would get access to like a suspect's like hospital records.
Yeah.
And they haven't, I guess they've been under suspicion for a long time and part of the case, but like that seems like it's crossing a line there.
Right? I thought it was weird. Anyway.
Well, I don't know when police would be able to pull those records for you.
So we get our introduction to Cece.
Yes. Proto Allison. Because she's also seems like older than them too. So it seems like, oh, this is where Allison got her Allison-ness from. We've got this like person that she probably modeled her behavior off of, coming into town, doing nefarious shit. And being exactly like the same type of like manipulative person like Allison. It's just like, oh, okay, like you want this stopped, I'll stop it for you. And then Emily being like, shit.
Yeah. No.
Not like this.
What happened with Cece and Jason?
Well, an intense summer. Like how did it like end is like very curious. Obviously, I think she kept like anteing up the manipulation on him is like kind of what it seems like. And then eventually he's just like, oh, Jesus Christ, like I gotta get out of this. Like she has gotten me caught up in all sorts of shit I didn't want to be involved in. And so that's why I think like she's probably back in town is related to Jason. And like that's what it's like, almost like a tormentor returning, because he's like, shit, like Cece's back, like good God. Like she probably has multiple reasons to be there, but I bet one of her reasons is, but once again, like tormenting Jason. This like specter from someone that made his life hell probably over that quote unquote intense summer that I'm sure Cece probably like stirred up, whatever the hell that was. I think getting embroiled in like some sort of drama that could point back to it, bet him, or like drama between their families, whatever their tryst was, potentially even like an unwanted pregnancy or something, or fake unwanted pregnancy, knowing the show. These are all wild guesses. Early to tell, but we at least know that this is a person that is a master manipulator.
Okay. Toby and his whole speech about evidence, like he's so annoyed. Toby's so annoyed in this episode. How are we feeling for our poor Tobes?
Yeah, not again. I feel for Toby on this, of course.
Again.
Yes, again. Yeah, because even if Toby, I feel like the follow through that you could take off of Toby is like, I'm more sensitive to this now, and also at the same time, it's just like you were probably barking up the wrong tree if he is getting off of this. So like you should probably start looking elsewhere and spend your time looking elsewhere. Because I don't know if like, I think Toby probably does have like some empathy for Garrett. Even if Toby is also like, God damn it, he made my life hell just coming around my house all the time. And him and Jenna stirring up shit. And maybe I do feel a little bad for him when he got spurned by Jenna and is just like hanging around the house being creepy. But at the same time, but at least he's probably pointing to that, like, drop it. Like, you need to start like looking elsewhere, because this is exactly what you do, Spencer. You just railroad this into dead ends that have nothing to do nothing to do with the actual like murder, or like nothing to do with like the missing body. Like, he might be connected, but this isn't the person you should be going after, because obviously they have a tight alibi. So I agree with Toby, and the next thing I would say to them would be drop it.
Drop it. I have Jenna and Maya. Do we think anything Nate said is true?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think they were like buddy, but I think they were connected through like Maya's like whatever those secret parties they're going to, where we don't get a repeat from Holden coming back here. But I'm assuming part of those like secret parties, wink, wink, were related.
I don't know if we ever hear from Holden again. Don't quote me on that. I could just have a black hole where Holden's related. It could be like a Sean situation. But I was so surprised when we saw him in that episode, because I was like, I don't remember him coming
back at all.
I remember his first arc.
Right. But like, not that he's like, oh yeah, we have these underground parties here that we go to. Because also Maya...
When does he have time to go to these parties in between his karate class?
Right.
Holden's just like only underground.
Exactly. That's right. Holden operates in the shadows. He's Batman. But Jenna's definitely connected through whatever these like secret little like society meetings are. I'm assuming
Skull and Bones.
Right. I'm assuming it's just like whatever this rotating party is that like Holden knows is just like some like teens like having parties places. But that is also serving as this like second point for people to like meet up in secret. And then like also what the hell is like up with like Maya's website, her like landing page.
Yeah.
This is my portfolio of like all these videos that are private videos. So I think that's
store everything.
Right. So I think that's why it's that's the connection with Jenna. Even though I feel bad for how much I hammered on it literally just went out, Maya being the killer. I do think she's embroiled in something. I'm starting to feel a little bit more vindicated for really going after her this season, because it's like, okay, she's embroiled in something.
Yeah,
even if
you were so convinced, and I was like, I can't tell him that she's gonna die.
Even if it's it's much more clear. It's like, oh no, you were really blaming like the like girl that was caught up in too much shit. It's like it reminds me of Brick, the girl who dies at the beginning of that and like sets the whole like thing in motion. How she's like connected to everything. That's probably how I envision Maya. She is caught up in something attached to whatever Jenna project presumably is going on, and like that got her killed.
I like it.
She was trying to move a brick.
Outside of that, like, what are our thoughts on Nate?
Yeah. Oh, this is major bad vibes coming in here. Especially because he does the like blaming Emily for not being into him. And it's just like, what the fuck? Like, this is the person you were like, quote unquote, comforting with over your cousin's death. And then so now we go, is he actually her cousin? Or like, what is the actual relationship there? How much are you actually lying? So here's where like everything, the bottom kind of starts to drop out on all that stuff and really start to question like Nate's motives. And also the earrings, like side comment of, oh, like Maya had these same pair of earrings, and like, I was like, but she like only I got those for her like a week before she died. Like, how did you see that? And like Nate's access to like Maya's thing. So like, how much of that is actually true versus false? So bad vibes from Nate starting on this one. And it's probably only going to progress further from here. I think the next one, there's still a little bit. It's not like more revealed, but definitely enough to get Nate on like a suspect list.
I like it. Yeah. And also like it actually does a really good job of telling like how most women, I see this online a lot, will talk about how when you're like, let's say you're gonna like move away or whatever, and you have like a group of guy friends, that's when all of your friends start admitting that they like you. Or like right when you're about to graduate high school, like all your guy friends tell you that they're like, oh, like I wanted to date you. And it's so fucking creepy, because it's like, we couldn't possibly just be a human being that you wanted to be friends with. We're only someone you want to be friends with because you want to fuck us. And like, because you can't do that, you're gonna be like mean to me. Like, that's Nate's vibe. And I'm like, oh, like, so he's just like all the other men. Like, men are only interested in women that they want to sleep with. And having friends isn't like an option for them. Right. And I'm like, that's still an issue. So like, good job, PLL.
Yeah. There you go.
I don't know if they did it on purpose, but they fell backwards into that one and it worked.
Yeah, totally. And I don't know if if it'll just like leave it at that, or if it'll like be like more nefarious. But yeah, good illustration for sure.
Yeah. Did Hannah really see Allie out the window, or do we think that was like Mona hired someone, or hired someone, or she hallucinated?
That's what I think she saw. It's like hallucinated, right? Like you think you saw someone out in the flash. Like it was like, it's so fast and like you're already freaked out and you're like, did I see someone out there? And you convince yourself that is what it is. So I thought it was so funny that the episode really hammers home that someone could have been out there. I don't think that's where it's going to go, but I do think it's especially with these episodes, it's really pointing toward what I think is the twin twist with the nursery at Radley. I think it's really trying to play with that. To get you to suspect that.
It was a big fan theory at the time because it's where the books head.
Right. So then it's like, oh, okay. If there was someone out there that's still alive, was that Allison's twin? Same with the Ouija board saying alive. Is there another twin? And then also, I think the nursery is like pointing to a twin twist. It's like the one that was locked away, that was kept behind glass and kept away from the family. So then it's like the birth of evil, like in a sense of like this forgotten and neglected child. Or it's going to be doing that for like Mona. It kind of seems like it's also semi-pointing that way to Mona. But I think it's playing with the twin twist is what I think all that is in service for.
Or it's just alluding at one.
Yeah, but my take on that scene is that she saw a vision or like a hallucination.
Whose blood's on the bracelet?
I mean, A's playing a really good bluff, I think, by like trying to say, "Oh, it's you, Hannah," but I don't think that's what it actually is. I would say it could end up being like someone that is involved with Allison's like death more like directly. And because like Garrett already knew that it wasn't his blood. He knew about the bracelet. So he knew that like whatever that like piece of evidence is going to be is potentially like actually really key other than just like getting himself off, because he's like, I'm not on there. So I think the blood is, I mean, it could be related to Cece and it could be like a dead end. I don't think Cece's an actual killer or something, but it could be related to that. Could also be Jenna's blood on there. And then Jenna's like, oh shit. This is connecting me back to the murder. As Garrett, performing a coup on her in a sense. Or it's
Jenna and Garrett would make a really interesting show.
Yes. All the background people of like what's going on here. So you got like an idea of like what the machinations are and what like how they're getting one over on each other. Who's on whose side in the background. But that's why, they keep it in the background of this, so you wonder this and keep going week to week. There's the mystery. But I think someone along those lines related to those nefarious deeds.
What do we feel about Ella's date? Pastor's head, not her vibe.
Yeah, which is, it's a red herring in a sense at first, because you're like, oh no, there's gonna be like some weird tension here, but then it's like, oh no, she didn't have a bad date. And it's funny that it doesn't seem like there's that big of a difference in age between the two actors.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, oh, okay, sure.
He's young.
And I think if there's gonna be any further thing, it's just gonna be like Ella like trying not to like duck down when they're around and learning to be okay with being out and dating this younger man, even though like her like ex-husband is like back seeing his like old student. Like grad student. Yeah. So, I mean, at least like this is like on equal terms, Ella.
Well, at least his is like it's like a random, it's not a student. There's no power.
This is a business owner. Like he runs his own business. Yeah. She doesn't have power over him.
Exactly.
You're right. Right.
Spencer's real sloppy with that car move.
Yeah. It's
why is Spencer like absolutely feral when it comes to Jason? It's like, I finally have a brother and I'm going to throw my life away for him.
They like, I feel like Spencer has majorly slipped this entire season. Like she's just so sloppy. Like why, like leaving her car in the middle of the road? Like, what are you doing? And then you drive away Jason's car. I I don't know. Like, it is a lot. But, and it's funny, like, what would Jason actually lose? He would lose, like, maybe his, like, potential, like, monetary freedom from his family. But, like...
He has money, so even that. It's his money, because from the grandmother.
Right, from the grandmother. Yeah, so, I mean, at most, he just has to, like... I mean, yeah, he would get a DUI, like, and, like, pay repercussions for that, which sucks. But I don't know what Jason would lose life-wise. He's, like, insulated. He's fine.
He's got money.
He'll pay it off and he'll pay...
Man.
Yeah, he doesn't actually really have a job. I mean, he might get fired from, like, teaching the at-risk youth for school, but I don't think he's getting
part
paid
of, like,
much for that.
family business or whatever. Remember, it's like Spencer saw him outside of the De Laurentiis.
Right.
Was it real estate or whatever they do?
But he's never working. So I don't know. Yeah.
He's running by the high school during the day.
Yeah. Bad move on Spencer's part. Like, all around. He doesn't need saving. I don't like Jason's downward spiral, though.
No.
I don't like him getting back into drinking.
No, it's not good.
No.
It's probably realistic, but it's not good.
Yes. We just stan Jason, so.
You're a Jason stan?
Mm-hmm.
Who picked up the recording in Radley?
A Jenna affiliate, or Jenna.
Okay. And is that why was Mona using code then? Because she knew they were being recorded?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mona is connected to all this. That's why the pills are being moved out of Radley. And we'll get more into this a little later. But Mona knows, like, that, like, shit is still happening. She has been visited by these people also. And so is being careful, but is not super connected to them.
Yeah, still would protect Hannah over them.
Exactly. Yeah. So lends more credence to, it's like, oh, okay, there's more going on with, like, Mona being a shit. Mm-hmm. Which is good. Again, I did not care for that explanation, but
fair enough.
Yeah.
So thinking too, Cece calling Jenna, CCing it up, just really showing up, like, really being herself. Where does she rank on our menace list? Like, you have what? Queen Jenna, Queen Melissa.
Queen Jenna. So it goes in terms of, okay,
menacing, like, level and potential.
In present day.
Okay.
Allison RIP, or else you would be
number one queen.
Number one. But Jenna would be number one. Melissa number two. Let's see. I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing any other menaces. Mona, at least now,
has a real meaty something going on.
Yeah, but not so much as a menace. Mm-hmm. I feel like the menace factor on Mona has dropped down.
Yeah. Kind of miss it.
Right. Yeah, me too. But right now she's like, I'm a wild card. I'm a rogue agent. I'm playing both
sides. Which is also kind of fun.
Totally. Like, feeding information. So I feel like she drops down lower in terms of, I don't think there's any other menaces we've really got going on right now. So Cece would slot.
We haven't seen Noel in a while.
No. I don't think this season at all. So I would drop in Cece at the bottom of that list with potential for more. Cece's got a lot of potential. She's a rising star. Like, this is a prospect you're going to want to draft high.
You want her on the list, but she's not ready to rank.
Right. You want her on your squad, and she's a talent that you're going to, like, be able to, like, once she's comfortable out in the court, like, she's going to be, like, really putting up numbers.
Menacing. Well, she's not afraid to menace the menaces.
No, because, like, as the vibe I get from her is, like, I created the menace.
I am the menace.
That's right. She learned it from watching me.
Those are my questions for you for this episode. Okay. You did great. We'll call you in 3 to 5 days and let you know if you get the position.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Would you like to do the next episode, or would you like us to bring in another candidate?
I would love the opportunity if possible. I mean, just to, like, get to know the team.
Absolutely. Yeah, we love when people do free labor for us with presentations. Don't do presentations for job interviews. They're wasting your time. I see it all the time. I witness it. Mm-hmm. It's really dumb. Yeah. You're doing free labor. Why?
No, I love it. Episode 55, Season 3, Episode 8, Stolen Kisses.
I'm like a gremlin.
Hannah talks to Spencer and says Mona was trying to help them. Spencer is suspicious about why Mona is even trying to help. And Hannah says she's scared of something. Emily says, she gets a call and says it was Nate and is going to hike up with him to the boathouse. Spencer asks if she's going to tell him about all this, and she says no, she'd have to tell him about the website and about how they even know about it. They wonder how to figure out the password to the website, and Emily tries one but fails and says, I guess I didn't know her as well as I thought I did. Okay, Emily, let's calm down. People at the time might know this, but looking at online, it looks like the masssugar.com at the time just pointed to that teaser video that was on the website, or that was shown in the episode. Byron enters Arya's room. I find it very funny too that we go from Ella episodes to Byron episodes. So we are now firmly in a Byron episode, and it's worse for it. That's not always true. Byron enters Arya's room and asking if she'll be home for dinner, and the conversation is very awkward. He says, Meredith got the job. And Arya is mad and asks who gets to tell Mom, and he says, I will. Emily recounts old times with Maya at the lake. And as she's with Nate, Nate says, we used to do something similar back in our day. He says Jenna stood him up, and Emily says, I'm sorry. Nate says she said something came up. She thought she was through with someone, but wasn't. Nate then changes the subject and says, I never understood how someone could kill someone until I saw Garrett at the hospital. Emily says, don't talk like that. It's not in this special place that Maya and I used to hang out at. Nate says, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't scare you. I don't want you to be afraid of me. Whew, whew, whew. Warning alarm. Arya enters Fitz's apartment and says something flirty, but turns around to meet his mother. Turns out his full name is Fitzgerald. She's a big donor at the museum and invites the two of them to come out to a special event. Fitz then kicks his mom out, and he locks the door behind her. Fitz says, you don't have to go tomorrow, but Arya says she wants to. And Arya asks what she knows about. And Fitz says, I told her that we started seeing each other after I left Rosewood High. Arya says, you lied to your mom. And he says, it's not the first time. Spencer can't crack the website, and Hannah freaks out about it. Both of their patiences are running out, and Spencer says she needs help. Hannah asks what kind of help, and Spencer's like, I heard Caleb is back from California. And I was like, yes, go ahead. Talk to him, ask him to get you into the website. Hannah then gets text from Ren that says, we needed to talk, but doesn't say anything else. Toby then comes in and asks if Spencer knows where he is, and clarifies he's talking about Jason. Spencer then dismisses Hannah upstairs. Toby says his house is empty and his car is gone, and he's gone with evidence. Spencer goes to try to call Jason, but Toby takes the phone to talk to her. He says he knows she won't tell him anything, but Mona and Garrett are both locked up, and you still jump at every text, so I'll find out, what the hell you're going on myself. He then leaves.
I do it myself.
Uh-huh. God damn it. You won't tell me anything, so I'm going to figure out what the hell is going on with you. Emily walks over to see Paige fixing her bike. Paige says she missed a few days at school and was feeling bad for a while, but feels better now. Emily says, we need to talk about this. You deserve to know the truth about the flask. Paige says, I can't today, but eventually agrees to the next day after school, and Emily leaves. Ren and Hannah meet at the brew. Ren says Mona is moving to a different facility, and they supposedly need a more intense treatment with her. Her outburst and her stealing drugs has informed this, and they think she's been passing it to visitors, and that she's surprisingly popular. Ren promises to try and talk to the board and dissuade them. Hannah then sees Caleb come into the brew and goes to talk to him. Caleb sees that she was with Ren, and before Hannah can talk to him, he leaves. Caleb gets out of his car at school, and Spencer stops to talk to him and is like, oh, nice new car. Spencer then's like, I have an abstract computer question. How do you get around password protection? Caleb is suspicious, and Spencer says, I can't get past a password on a website, and Caleb asks whose website it is. Arya then asks Emily for fashion advice for meeting Fitz's mom. Emily says, oh, he came for money? But doesn't he not have a job? And if he needs money, shouldn't he ask them for it? Emily cutting right to the heart of it. Spencer tells Caleb about the website, and Caleb says he'll do it. He'll break into the website. Whatever happened to Hannah, is important to me. If I can crush Mona, the Mona monster, then I'm in. He leaves and Spencer gets a text that says, Mona's almost gone. Hannah's next. Spencer sings with the friends and Hannah tells them about Mona's move and learning about it from Ren. Arya says if she gets sent away, they'll never find out about Maya's website. And Emily says if it is Maya's website. Good point. Arya asks Spencer for then asks Spencer for fashion advice, and Spencer notices a bag on the floor and sees it's her mom's. She calls for her mom but doesn't hear a response, so then starts to dig through her purse and they find court files, and Spencer just starts randomly taking pictures of all of them. Paige is on a run and Emily catches up to her. Or were they on a run together? It was very confusing, the dynamics of this. Emily then tells her about the flask getting drugged, but didn't know about it, and doesn't know who did it to her. Paige asks if she knew when it happened, and Emily says the night Allison's grave got dug up, and that she's been trying to find out what happened. Paige says, oh, part of that night you were with me. Arya and Spencer read through the files. They find that Maya's trachea was crushed by a pipe or metal bar, and Spencer says, or by a police's nightstick. Maya was killed in Emily's backyard, and was killed the same night that Garrett was arrested. There were no tenants in Emily's house during that time, no personal property found at the scene. The prosecution witness list also includes someone, and his name is circled by her mom by the name of Bart Comstock. And there's a note that says break him and it falls apart. They see the address is in Rosewood, and Arya is going to stop by there on her way home. Paige says that at about 11, she heard something on the front porch and Emily was sitting on the steps. Paige brought her into the house and Emily kissed her, and Paige was really excited about this. Paige then went into the kitchen, and when she came back, Emily was gone. She tried to call her, but she didn't answer. Paige says the next day at school, you didn't remember. I felt so bad about doing what I did, and I couldn't tell you, and I felt even worse when I found out the flask was drugged. Hannah meets with Ren, and Ren says the board didn't listen, and it's a matter of paperwork before Mona's gone. Maybe, we've been going about this all wrong, and you should talk to the physicians on Mona's behalf. Arya then enters an old movie theater. This is the old movie theater that Emily and Maya went on their date in. The man working it says they're not open, and Arya says she's here to learn more about the film festival. They have all these posters up for a noir film festival. Arya says she never thought of this place that it had an address. This has just been the movie theater to me. I never thought that this would obviously be place of business or a physical address in some sort of mail system. She sees him put on his work jacket and sees that his name tag says Bart. Caleb and Spencer work on hacking the website. Spencer calls Caleb out on all his new items that his mom got him now that he's rising up in society. And she's like, oh, way to go, Caleb.
Yeah, you're rich. You have a fancy jacket.
Yeah, moving up in society.
Dry clean only sweaters.
Whoa. I don't feel so bad for talking to the dirty poor anymore.
Spencer's always talk to the poor.
I know.
She
right.
just,
extended a hand.
Don't we miss Alex every now and then?
I do.
I love Toby.
Mm-hmm.
But Alex was
fun.
fun.
Maybe I don't miss Alex as much anymore now.
Alex could dance.
Good. He's a good dancer. But Toby's the man of the people, though.
Yes. Well, he's got abs, honey. And not that Alex didn't. I don't know. Right. Did we ever see him without a shirt?
No, he never popped his shirt off. Maybe that's part of his problem.
There was this weird thing at this time in pop culture where we were making teenage boys take off their shirts like nobody's business.
Yeah. Watching those 2 Twilight movies we watched and then learning about
the fact that Taylor Lautner was 17.
Yeah, and that he's just
they made him get jacked.
He's like, I'm gonna do this on my own because they're gonna recast this. They threatened him, and then he went through this horrible process to make his body really good, and then he was sexualized at 17, and then was just I'm not gonna pop my shirt off anymore because I can't handle this.
Yeah, I'm a child.
And you guys are all super weird about my body.
Yeah,
it really made me feel for him because of course at the time I was same age, and so I was just this stupid guy.
In his 47 abs.
Yeah, exactly. And my flab is so much better. I'm so much more intellectual. With my B+ average. Yeah, the way stupid boys are really snotty about popular guys like that. Ooh, Justin Bieber. It's like, well, yeah, he's making stupid decisions. He's your age.
And he's got access to an amount of cash that you can't even fathom.
Yeah, good God. So yeah, that it was like, oh God, poor really made me feel for Taylor Lautner after reading about all that. You just don't think about it that way, like the inverse.
Oh, he's one of the few guys Taylor Swift wrote an apology song to. Yeah, might be the only one. Guy.
But yeah, the only dating someone with your name is really funny. And that his wife has taken his name now?
Yeah, so they'll both be Taylor Lautner.
Gotta love it. Arya talks to Bart. He says he remembered Maya and Emily. Okay. He says the police talked to me and he recognized her and saw her get in the cop car with the guy who killed her right up the block. He saw it when he was changing the marquee outside. And, you just can't trust anybody. What was she doing hanging with Garrett? She really was getting around with all sorts of random people in town. Spencer and Caleb continue hacking, and they get in. They start a video of Maya reading poetry. Maya says this is a place where she's going to keep things instead of losing them, and she's always losing things. She's like, if you're looking at me, this site is cursed, but then breaks out laughing and opens to a UI with lots of items all over the place, like all over the place. Arya talks to Spencer on the phone, and Arya explains her piece about Bart. She hangs up and wanders around the Osgood Museum. Fitz arrives looking uncomfortable, and Arya notices the names on the funders for the event. And Fitz is like, oh yes, they're my grandparents. Arya freaks out, realizing how much money Fitz's family must have. They enter the museum party, and Fitz confirms that everything on display belongs to his family. Arya says, I always thought you didn't talk about family because of me. It says, I was keeping my family away from you, not the other way around. Arya isn't mad, but thinks he owes her something for all the cheap dinners, and Fitz's mom sees them kiss from across the museum. Emily's at the boathouse when she hears a noise. Nate then rounds the corner and is like, oh, it's me, it's all right. He asks if yesterday was Emily's first time back here since Maya died, and Emily says yes. She's glad that Nate made her come back to this special place. Nate asks what she's doing here tonight. Emily asks if it's possible to do something without knowing you were doing it or why you were doing it. Nate says, I think we are always who we are. Emily asks, what happens like when we're drunk? Nate says, people cover up who they are, but they're still them. And it's like in a dream, if you do something in a dream, it's still you. Your logic doesn't pan out at all here, Nate.
No.
Arya sits alone looking at a painting as Fitz's mom comes up to talk. She says he hasn't told her much about his family, has he? She sees Arya as like Fitz's muse. Or she's like, oh, you're Ezra's muse. Arya says, I don't think of myself as like playing a character. And Fitz's mom says, I guess you do. She asks about Arya's parents, and Arya explains about her parents being divorced, and if that happened around the time Arya started seeing Fitz. Arya says, you say things like you know the answers. Fitz's mom says, it's so easy to find answers for things. So interesting, your brother's arrest record, your mom moving out, your romance with a former teacher. Your dad's, and Arya tries to leave, but Fitz's mom says, don't you misunderstand me. I won't let you ruin Ezra's life. It's your fault he can't be at that high school. There can be real world compensations for like everyone going along with things. And Arya then leaves. Fitz approaches his mom and asks what she said to her. Like, I can't find Arya. Fitz's mom says, maybe it's past her bedtime. He says, you do things like this and like wonder why I want nothing to do with his family. She says she did nothing wrong, but Fitz doesn't buy it. Hannah reads cue cards to the physicians of Radley as Ren watches. She eventually drops her guard and gives an emotional plea to them, and how like close her and Mona are. Paige looks at her swimming pool as Emily walks up. Paige apologizes and Emily says, it's not your fault. Paige says, if I find out who like put that in your flask, like I'll kill them. Emily says, don't say that at all. I haven't been with anyone since Maya. I didn't know. I was looking for somebody, and I came here. She kisses Paige. Okay. Arya sits alone in her room as Byron enters. He asks how
we want to support Paige and Emily so bad, and you just can't. Why is that?
That was the best I can do.
Yeah.
You just know, again, she's not endgame. He asks how she is, and Arya asks if she's ruined Fitz's life. Byron says, no, you would never hurt anyone, and they hug. Ren comes out to talk to Hannah. Hannah feels like she did bad, and Ren says, you did great, she gets to stay. Hannah's excited and kisses Ren on the lips. Cue my head going through the desk as promised. Hannah says thank you and gets
when
a
you
text.
said that last time and you were like, oh, like if she, and I was like, well, honey,
guess what?
I can't say anything yet, but
pucker
up, baby.
Yeah.
Old men be kissing.
On the job. Hannah says thank you and gets a text from Spencer saying you need to see something now. This man's supposed to be a fucking doctor. The friends, minus Emily, watch Maya's website, which includes a video of Emily eating ice cream and laughing while Maya films. Spencer says there are hundreds of videos and you don't know what they are until you open them. Spencer says Caleb didn't want to see any of it once he realized what it was. They open a video where Maya says she feels like Emily has an old soul and can tell when she kisses her. Hannah skips to another video. Maya says she's a coward and has to face her fears and can't keep running away forever. We see police lights hit her chest as the camera ducks down. They try to call Emily, but it's in her jacket pocket. As I forgot about this. Her and Paige swim laps together. See, this is what it is. It's not like they're like playfully being in the pool together or like, you know, kissing in the pool. They're literally platonically sitting like swimming laps next to each other.
They're romantically swimming laps next to each other.
You know, do they swim laps together? The A scene is a gloved hand puts money in a money counter as it sorts through stacks of hundreds. The person counting the money hands it over to another gloved hand. The teller says, looking at you in that hoodie makes me shiver. I guess summer really is over. The end.
Okay.
It was very funny looking up the recap on this too. Like to just on Wikipedia, it's just like A receives large chunks of money or something.
Yeah. What do we think of the Nate and Emily at the lake scene?
What are you doing there, Nate?
He's creepy.
Creepy. And also he's just like, I don't want you to be afraid of me. Like, I don't want you to get away. It's like, okay, my security guard, my flag's going up.
My security guard's coming.
But I think it's nice that Emily's like revisiting these places of someone that she's felt really special that she's like kept away from. Because, you know, it's like really emotionally charged. But I do think like a lot of the things with the website and things is Emily once again prematurely trying to be like, well, I didn't know Maya that well, maybe, and just like trying to shut it off completely.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I think like this Paige thing isn't gonna like pan out. It's like maybe I'm actually in love with Paige, and it's just like you're probably gonna realize that it's like you're better as friends again, and Paige is gonna be like, oh. So I don't think that's why I don't think it's like gonna last.
You don't think Paige is in game?
No.
Okay.
So I think it's gonna end in
trap. We know who Emily's like in-game partner is gonna be.
No.
Okay.
I'm assuming this is gonna be a new person.
Okay.
But yeah, I think everything with Paige is just screams like platonic friendship. No, not even that. Just kind of like it's just gonna be like no.
It's her Dean.
Yeah, it's just like a really nice person that isn't just like quite fit.
Mm-hmm.
The like chemistry like isn't there.
Let's talk about Ezra Fitzgerald.
Yeah. Isn't it
great that Arya has such great branding that like everyone in her life has like a literary name?
It's funny that they had to like just spell it out. Like rather than like just like allude with like Fitz, you know, as in Fitzgerald, but it's like, no, he's actually Fitzgerald. I think it's fantastic because when you alluded, I'm sure there's more, but when you alluded like, oh, we'll find out more about him, it's going to be like, oh, he did like some seedy shit, which he still could have. But I think the reveal is that he's like,
he's a rich boy,
this rich trust fund like kid, like amazing. I love it. And that
he wants to be a struggling artist. Yeah. Right. It's so disgustingly good because it's just like, oh, he wants to have a hard life. And
right.
I think the mom probably knows him best, and Arya is kind of a muse. But also like, you know, they're in love.
Right. And you can understand, obviously, his mother seems very controlling. He probably has very good reason to try and get away from her. But then you look at it and it's just like, this is a man who lost his job because he's dating a high schooler. And so when she makes a joke about it probably being past her bedtime, it is very true. So then it's just like all the more richer. It's just like, oh, yes. It makes it makes Ezra a bit more pathetic in a fun way. And I think this like rich controlling mom hanging around things is a good wrinkle of this like upper crusty woman who's just like, you're not good enough for my son. You're gonna drag him down. But then I think it's still gonna end up being like, well, we're defying the odds, and I'm gonna groan because it's like,
do you think
bad.
Ezra are in game?
Yeah there's no way in hell. I think like people would have like lost their shit if they weren't. And if they aren't, it'll be very funny, and I'm sure people did lose their shit.
There's such good like Ezra plot coming in this season and in the next that I think you're going to thoroughly enjoy. It will also frustrate you.
That's just,
you will not love it.
That's the show.
But you will enjoy it.
Okay.
Toby says, I do it myself.
That's right.
What do you think Toby's gonna figure it out?
Damsels do it them damn selves. I think Toby's
Toby like in a castle.
Right, exactly. He kind of is emotionally. I think he's gonna be exactly like last season, how he's just like, he's gonna figure out something on his own and it's gonna connect back. Like how he's like, I brought Dr. Sullivan here, and Spencer's like, you rascal. He's just gonna be like off doing his own thing, and then it's gonna be like plot convenient. It's like a very good way. It's like, okay, well, we can't really drag out this like Spoby thing of them going back and forth. So if we just have Toby exit stage right, and then he just comes back in when convenient with something, I think is how it's gonna go.
Okay. Let's talk about
again the Spoby wheels spinning. I don't like. I feel like they've made Spencer more erratic in this to like compensate for it, to try and I don't know, find it interesting.
The Caleb, Hannah, Ren love triangle ? Not really love triangle because it's not going all directions, but
I stare right into the camera.
Okay.
Fuck off.
You hate it.
I hate it. I don't want any of it. Ren is just always the other person in these weird love triangles.
With high schoolers.
Yeah. And he's just appearing at other hospitals just to make this happen.
This man has too much free time.
And if he wasn't old, we've talked about this before.
He'd be interesting if he wasn't too old. Like if he was like a high school student that was like interning at the hospital.
And
even like a college student. But like he's like too old.
Yeah.
He's got too much power.
And I don't like this specific like I don't like this trope in like shows where it's like he's too proud and like upset. Like they still love each other. They're between Caleb and Hannah. It's just like, so Caleb is like doing things to protect Hannah, but he's too proud to like say anything. So then there's a love triangle with someone else because Hannah like accidentally kind of kisses someone, and it's like, oh, God damn it. So it's that stuff isn't my favorite.
There's a quote from a episode of Boy Meets World, I believe, where I think Corey kissed someone else and tells Topanga, and I think it's when they're in like high school or junior high. I don't remember. All I remember is her going, did you trip on a rug? Did she trip on a rug? No, did you trip on a rug and her lips broke your fall? And I was like, that's it. Like, that's the only... That's it. That's how you deal with these.
Yeah, fantastic.
But I don't remember the whole story there. Like,
but that's
I don't even know if they're dating. Anyway, about Caleb helping with the password. Like,
I love that. But
why are we telling Caleb things and not Toby?
Why are we? Why?
You just want to sit down with Spencer and yell at her.
Yeah. It's frustrating. Why aren't we telling Toby? Because he can't be useful to you? He's muscle. Come on, he can shake people down.
Oh, he's got her abs, honey. He doesn't have any arm muscle, does he?
He works construction.
You're right.
Yeah. But also
carpenter.
Exactly. All right, Rosewood's very own Jesus. But he also is great at playing detective.
Uh-huh.
So why indeed? It's just because, like, I guess in Spencer's head it's just like, I need to protect Toby. Caleb we can sacrifice. We can lose Caleb, protect Toby.
You know what? He broke up with Hannah, so like, fuck it. He dies.
Right, exactly.
What if they were just like cutthroat?
Right, exactly. Spencer's like, I'm sorry. On the list.
You're no longer important on our list of people to protect. Right. You have dropped exponentially.
If you had looked at my digital A layer, you would see the list.
Let's talk about Paige and Emily, and Paige filling in the blanks for Emily, and then like us ending up in the pool.
Yeah. I'd remembered it more being, because I know Paige is like extremely apologetic about like, oh my God, I'm sorry I did that and things.
Yeah, they go on a run and are like,
right. And I meant about the kissing her when Emily was blacked out, and she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry I did that. And I had remembered the episode being, I was like, oh, but the episode more like trying to play with like Emily feeling conflicted about that. But it's Emily's more conflicted about the like emotional tax of like, oh, am I actually interested in Paige?
Exactly.
Is this too soon and stuff? Which I think was better than I remember. Which I understand like why Paige is like, oh, I'm so sorry about doing that, blah, blah, blah. But like, you know, like she like came over to your house and you didn't really understand, and like she kissed you and like.
And you like her.
Right, exactly. So it's like weird time for everybody. And
then she ran away.
Exactly. Yep. Which is this is typical drunk behavior.
Yeah, I will say like they do right, like when the characters are like drunk or high or whatever, like there's one scene later that's gonna really get you that like someone's high, but like on the most part when someone's drunk or high, they're pretty good at like making it seem like you're like, yeah, a drunk person would do that.
Drunk person would absolutely do that.
Oh yeah, you had some runners and some track stars in your friend group.
Totally.
I had to yell at one on a street corner.
This is after college.
Yeah.
But where was I going with that? So yeah, it's at least it's a nice scene, I guess, in the back, but I don't see it going anywhere. But damn, Emily was fucking busy that night.
That girl got all over town.
Yeah, she'd been everywhere. She
saw Holden, she saw Paige, she saw Jenna. She dug up a grave, maybe.
Right.
I mean, like,
she went to the diner too.
And like all I would do when I got drunk was like go get cheese fries and go home.
I wonder how much of this is just like being deposited places. I'm assuming if we were gonna like track this, I don't know how she gets to the diner. That's the part where it's just like, how did you get across town? Because I feel like the jumping out of Jenna's car, as Jenna said, is how she like ends up near Paige's, because it's all in a similar neighborhood-ish. That's how I envision. But I don't know how we get to a diner.
Well, I thought because Jenna liked to be like out at the edge of town, like it was like more like over there.
Oh, that's when she got in Jenna's car, not immediately after leaving the house. I had assumed. Okay,
but I don't know.
It could be anything.
I don't know. I don't remember. I have absolutely zero memories on Emily's timeline.
Hey, same with
Emily. What do we think about Bart having seen Maya get in the car with Garrett?
Yeah. Again, connected to these secret parties. And like that, like facing my fears.
You think they're inviting a cop to their secret parties?
If it's connected to Jenna.
Oh.
Yeah. You don't invite cops to secret parties? Cops are always welcome at raves.
Is that why all your parties got busted?
Right, exactly. Shit.
You gotta stop sending an invite to the police department.
Dear Mr. Officer.
Me and my other friends that are all 16 are gonna get drunk.
We're starting a bonfire on the beach.
Joe's older brother brought us beer.
Right. And so I think there is something that Garrett was trying to maybe like keep an eye on Maya, potentially coerce Maya into doing something, and Maya's like connectedness somehow there. So I think that's what it was, what those visits are, because I also think like her facing her fears, quote, when the police lights hit her, I think that's Garrett stopping her to like talk to her.
Okay.
That's what I took that as. I'm like, who else is a cop? I guess Wilden. So like either one of those. But so I think it's connected to whatever that like weird underground scene she was part of. Well, we don't know if it's weird.
We just assume it was weird.
I know.
That's just a little rude, isn't it?
Exactly.
Could have been very above board.
I apologize to everyone involved.
Emily and Nate's conversation at the lake when he's like, I think you always are who we are. Dream you is you. What the fuck is he saying? It makes no sense.
I think that's like the TV shows, popular culture loves to message that like you have this dream, it immediately means something. You drink, this is like your inner thoughts coming out. But then the best part of it is like those TikToks where it's just like, no,
drunk me's a liar.
Right, exactly. Or like people being like, yeah, I would tell people I'm from Australia and I'm like, have like been in business like selling herbs for like 20 years or something.
Someone said they were like, they lie when they're drunk that they, their father owns a hummus company and they offer to send people different flavored hummus samples. And like get their emails to
right.
Or like get their addresses and them hummus samples. And I'm like, that's such like a weird thing to do. It's also probably dangerous. Don't give your address to strangers.
Right, absolutely not. But yeah, I mean, I do think like sometimes people will be like, if they're like really hung up on something, will like, divulges their feelings on it, but it's usually not coming from a good place.
No, it's usually like, not well thought out.
No, and it's usually like the darkest version of whatever it is. If you're sad, it's the saddest version. If you're angry, it's the angry version.
Alcohol just enhances what state you're in.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah, so
it makes you sad. It's a depressant.
Funny. Yeah, but I always think of the TikTok of the guy who's like yelling about that West Virginia is east of Virginia or something like that. I forget what it is. And it starts with like, yeah, they say your drunken thoughts are your thoughts.
Or like people read their notes apps after being drunk and they're just like, oh no. I had a roommate in college my freshman year who would like get high, or like when she drank, she'd like pull out her journal and like write. And then like sometimes we'd read them later and it was nonsensical. She was like, yeah, no. I was like, no, I don't think alcohol is your muse, babe. Like, I don't think this is going to work for you.
Right. I don't think this is your writing tool.
Okay.
Which is also interesting because listening to Just King Things, favorite podcast probably. Yeah, I'd say Dead Stop. Love that podcast. I don't know. I love lots of podcasts. Whatever. It's one of my favorites.
You don't have to be committed to one podcast.
I don't want to, because then I'm like thinking about my other podcasts and I'm like, but I really like that one too.
The only thing you have to be solitarily committed to is me.
Yeah, that's right.
Everything else you can be.
Yeah, you're my number one with the bullet. Like person, lady.
That's me.
Yeah. But like talking about it, that Stephen King, when he was coming off like when he was getting clean, was worried that like all the writing would stop, that he would have like no more ideas, and so it was like trying to like barter at first, like, okay, maybe I'll spend like 2 months sober and then I'll go on a bender just so I'll be able to like do this stuff, like weird ways of like trying to figure it out. And then it's like, oh
no, wait, it's actually so much easier.
Probably, yeah.
I saw another author talk about how mental health wise they were like afraid to get like medication for like mental health, like I don't know if it's anxiety or depression or what, and they were like afraid. They're like, oh god, like what if I lose my creative ideas? And then like, you know how much easier it is to like actually create your art when you like aren't anxious or want to live or like whatever it may be. And I was like, we really like to like muse about like being like in like horrible situations to struggling artist. Exactly. Hannah and Mona, Hannah asking them not to send Mona away. Like, thoughts? Like, should she be doing this? I don't know. Maybe we should send Mona away.
I know. I don't think it's going to be good in the long run for Hannah.
Would it be good for Mona?
I don't know.
Is Mona in a safe situation?
It's really like pointing to that this is somehow a better solution. But like, yeah, how good is Mona's care?
Mm-hmm. How good is Mona's?
It seems
Ren's
like
doing it. That can't be good.
Right? And also probably to get Mona away from everybody else in town would probably be for the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Mona's like, shit, now I'm stuck here. I still have to deal with the people coming by, like asking me for drugs and like being involved in their messes.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems like a bad thing.
And then at the end, so we have old money Ezra, but then we also have new money getting cash somewhere at a bank.
Right. Uh-huh.
What's going on there? Who, what, when, where, why?
Oh, A's cash?
Yeah. What are they using it for? What are they getting it for?
I mean, A's got all kinds of things they need to fund. A's got all kinds of business. A's keeping track of people. They're like tapping phones. They're setting up recorders. How many recorders they got to set up? They got to like, there's a lot of money.
Batteries alone.
Uh-huh. They got to keep up with tons of people. So this is not a like inexpensive job that they're pulling here.
No.
So like A needs cash. They need cash flow. Fund all this like secretive shit they're doing. And wearing hoodies in the bank.
Yeah, and I mean, where do we think that money's coming from?
Where is that money coming from? I mean, I assumed like everybody's rich. That didn't like make me blink at all because it's like, oh, everybody's probably got an account. Like this is a wealthy town. Yeah. So I assumed like they have an account full of money. They're probably like part of the fabric of the community. As in just, some that lives there.
All right.
How big of a person is, we don't know.
We don't know. Are you ready to take us to your theory corner?
Yes. Let me get set up here real quick. Shuffle some chairs around. Make sure everybody's got seating. Okay, let's see here. All right, let's go. Let us step into... Corner. Welcome back, everybody. Brenton's Theory Corner.
Is that a picture of your family on your desk? Or is yours the one to the right, or is yours the one straight ahead? Sorry.
Yours was to the left.
Was it?
Yes.
I couldn't
remember.
Then
mine was to the right, I believe. With the
so that's me in the picture
spool.
frame.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
On your
I look at you. I look at you and Herman on my desk. It's like, this is who I do it for. My late nights.
Meanwhile, Herman
keeping
and I
the streets safe,
sitting in the corner eating donuts.
Having a great time.
Me and the corgi eating donuts.
Mm-hmm.
I bet he'd love a donut.
He would love a donut.
He can't have them.
No, that'd be horrible for him. It'd be
but if
very short-lived experience.
Somewhere to find dog donuts, let me know.
Yeah,
that'd be cute. Mm-hmm. We could get him a little coffee cup and a little donut.
Well, oh, that'd be cute.
It'd be so cute. We could dress him up as Wilden.
Good Lord. On that note, let us. Okay, so we're looking at what the like.
Who's A?
What's this apparatus going on? What the hell is happening? So I think it's all.
You sound like you're gonna sell me a used car.
I got a Jeep Grand Cherokee, $29.50. But $29.50. Damn, what a steal!
It's like $30 or $3,000. Because either way, I'm in.
That is a steal. I don't know what I'm doing.
Business is hemorrhaging money.
How did I get all these cars? So I think it all comes back to this connected party thing.
I love that you're like committed to these underground parties.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like that's the only way I could think that it would be like this melting pot between people. I do think that Maya has this connection to Allison that goes beyond just like her living in like her like new home. I do want to bring that forward from last season as I was pointing the finger at her. It's like, this means she's guilty. But I do think she's like connected somehow, and that's what brings her into the orbit of like Jenna and Garrett and like their crew. Because I don't think her feeding information to, or not feeding like items to the friends and then Garrett, that it's like, oh, I found these items in our attic, and oh, these like happened to move with us accidentally. I don't think that's an accident. I think some of those were like brought along, and I think that's maybe also something that's dawning on me now. How Garrett got potentially the bracelet through there. There's like a way that like Garrett was able to secure that, knew that it would be like a way because he was not involved with the killing, that it could like exonerate him. And I think it would also exonerate Jenna because they both talk about how Allison got what she deserved. So I think they both know who killed her, but it wasn't them, which then makes me go back to my old tried and true Melissa, who was also there that night and like really hated Allison. So like that could potentially be Allison's killer. But in terms of who is A and who's orchestrating things, I think Melissa could also be on that list. I'll come back to that in a sec. But I don't think it could also be. I keep always not wanting it to be Jenna because it seems like Jenna is like really like running shit in terms of like connected all of these people, has all these like tendrils going on. And I'm like, well, it couldn't be her. That'd be too obvious. But maybe the closest, the most likely conclusion is the correct one. So Jenna, we'll put her on the list because we should. Mm-hmm. There's no reason we shouldn't there. I think the introduction of Cece is a neat wrinkle. I think Cece isn't technically A, but I think there is a lot of things that you could point back to about like the way like Allison kind of took things from Cece. I think she's like a protege or not.
Like a role model.
Yeah.
A really bad
Allison,
one.
Exactly. Allison was the protege.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the theory of how she interacts with Jason is that it was this like she got Jason involved in shit, and like lies upon lies that like reflected bad on the family probably. Nate, I think, is probably still Maya's cousin. Maybe not as connected and close as they like thought they were. I don't think he's going to be connected to a wider net like Jenna's thing is. I think Jenna was just actually probably trying to like get close to him to like figure out what he might know about Maya. I don't think he's in the know about that, but I do think he's like harboring some weird feelings about whatever happened to Maya or like whatever their relationship was that I think will come out to Emily and probably like shock her a bit. But I don't think it's like he's part of the wider web and integrated in that way. Mona is obviously funding the doped up pill department of like what they use to drug Emily, and is running it through Lucas. That's why he's visiting, who is connected to Jenna, and I think they're both connected to Jenna. So that's why I think also that like Jenna's operation could potentially be swapping out A's. Like Jenna's like, oh, we need a new one of you to like swap in here, to like do this sort of thing. Now that like the other one of you got locked up, and so Mona was never really all that close to them, and is now not. It feels really used now that Mona is locked up. So is like more amenable to giving our protagonist more information, but is also knows that like she's being watched because she understands what the full operation is of really keeping an eye on people. So likely suspects at the moment, I would still put as Melissa and Jenna.
All right.
Because I'm trying to think if there's anybody else at the moment that I'd be missing, and I don't think so. And I think Garrett is now trying to play a different game of getting back at these people for trying to burn him. When he's the CIA agent that is now on the run because the CIA tried to kill him. Yeah.
Except small town police.
Exactly, and with high schoolers. So I think that's probably my best guess at the moment for A and what the machinations are going on in the background. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of things we don't know about.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
thank you for joining us.
Miss Arya, you're a killer, not Ezra's wife.
Right. So Miss Arya, you're a killer, not Ezra's wife.
Where were we?
Right. Miss Arya, there was Mona. We didn't talk about that one. It was like
it's Maya New.
Maya New. Yeah. And that they didn't explicitly spell that one out, but Maya obviously is in the know.
Maya New. What
did Maya know? Maybe who A was? Possibly.
Maybe.
All right. we will see you all next time. Goodbye.
Final thoughts?
Speaking of that, like Maya knew, I just thought it was again so funny that like Spencer's just like, it's not that hard. I don't write it in specific notes. They like talk about when Spencer outlines that like this is a hyperlink. This is how this code is broken. Mm-hmm. She literally goes like, it's not that hard, and it's like, oh, okay, show. Like if you didn't want this to be a mystery, why is there this like secret code and stuff? You could have come up another way.
Why is there a secret code? Is it to show that Mona knows that she's being watched?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I just thought it was really funny that the show's just like, this isn't a mystery. Like we're keeping going.
We get too many plot. These girls will get confused that are watching the show.
Don't pay attention. Whatever. There's
the
other
girlies
things.
in the fandom are getting real stressed.
Right. You'll have other things like this, like website. You can go to masssugar.com. Mm-hmm. But yeah. No, I think that is it for this week, at least for me.
All right. Well, when we're not here doing this, sometimes we do other things. You can find all of my links to all of the things I do, which is mostly just talk about books on TikTok or, I used to post YouTube videos and blogs, but then I got tired.
Yes.
And elderly and decrepit. And we have a wedding and it's a lot of work.
It is.
But I'll be back to doing things soon in the future, hopefully one day. And you can find all my links to all the things in my link tree.
Yeah. Mine also in the link trees there too. You can find this podcast on YouTube at Dead Ends. You can find the audio version on all your podcast platforms of choice at Dead Ends. We appreciate any likes, comments, subscribes, reviews.
Stars, thumbs up.
We are a small podcast, so we appreciate any help. And then you can also send in any mail to deadendspcast@gmail.com.
If there's spoilers, make sure it says spoiler on the top, and then I'll read it and not Brenton.
Yes, thank you so much. Please do not spoil man things. And and then you can also follow us on Twitter just to know when we're going to be skipping weeks at Dead Ends Podcast. I think that I want to double check that Twitter handle. I think that is our full Twitter handle. Yes, Dead Ends Podcast.
All right. Well,
we're still here. Luckily. And we're going to find out everything.
We haven't been taken out by A.
No. And, even if we get intermittent with these episodes like we have recently, we're going to find out everything.
And then we'll be back to regularly scheduled once we get through this busy season.
Yes. But goodbye.